So we've built a very formidable institution in the Treasury, very good policymakers who know what it takes to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing. They want to observe the Constitution. Now, there is a strong belief that the common thread in the dismissal of both former finance ministers Nhlanhla Nene and Pravin Gordhan was their commitment to do the right thing. For example, their refusal to sign off on the nuclear deal. That's what we read about. Now, there are colleagues that you leave behind at the Treasury under new political leadership, and one would imagine that the decision that was made by the previous finance ministers was based on recommendations produced by you as policymakers. So you thought about this, you analyzed this, and you produced policy recommendations. And on the basis of that, they say we cannot sign off on the nuclear deal because it's not affordable, based on that expertise and evidence. Now, what advice would you give to your colleagues who remain behind at the Treasury? If, for example, Minister Gigaba or Deputy Minister Buthelezi, they say, this is what we want to do, and the policymakers say, no, but this is not the right thing to do, based on our policy analysis. What advice would you give them? How would they react? How do you think they should react when they feel that they are under pressure to do something that they consider not to be right?
First, you say I have built a formidable institution. I inherited a formidable institution. I hope that I succeeded to keep it formidable. But history must judge that. That's the first point. But second, I laugh because there are many things that get said in public that are blatantly untrue. The most laughable one was that within a matter of hours of Minister Gigaba being assigned the Treasury, there was a rumor that he had already signed the nuclear deal, but it hadn't passed my desk, and it's unlikely that it would reach his desk before it passes through mine. So it was untrue. So there is a lot of mystery around this specific issue of nuclear. And there has been a lot of untruths. I'm not referring to what you have said, Prof. Just now you kick me out of this program.
That's what we read. That's what we read.
I know, that's what you read. But I'm saying there are lots of untruths that have been said about nuclear. Some of it is just pure speculation. What most of these things highlight, as the recent judgment also did, is the importance of due process when you deal with matters of public interest. In other words, if, for instance, government had come out much earlier, now I'm using hindsight because there was a court judgment, but I hope to come back to close the loop on this, because it's not only hindsight I'm using, but if government had come out much earlier and set out the critical decision gates or stages, right, through the process of procuring nuclear, voluntarily, you set it out. You say the first stage will be this, the second stage will be this, third, fourth, fifth, and you add that qualifying clause that any other stage, as we may deem it necessary, we will put it to public scrutiny. Then speculation becomes irrelevant. There is no place for it, because you have indicated that the decisions that will be taken are 10, and they will be taken in this sequence, and the structures that will take them are the following, on advice from the following technical people or structures, as may be necessary from time to time. If you do that, then you leave no room for speculation. The problem we create for ourselves in the interest of collective responsibility, I will say this, is to deal with something as big as this, as important as this, with all the good intention in the world, in ways that are not sufficiently transparent. Yet you have in 217 of the Constitution, you see how it helps to remember these things. You will see in 217 of the Constitution that it's not a choice that a procurement process must be transparent. It's a constitutional prescript. Embedded in this part of my answer is the advice you were asking me to my colleagues. Always insist that due process is followed. There is no, it is not about saying, I think you have got proclivity to steal, and therefore let's take the process in the public domain. It is just to say our Constitution requires it. When the drafters of our Constitution proposed the clause, they may not have known that there would be nuclear. But now that there is nuclear, fine and good. Let's take it through the process as our own laws require it. And when you've done that, you leave no room for speculation and questions. But the other issue that it's not just for my colleagues, it's I would say it's for the country, and I give this advice for free. I'll start charging after Monday. You must always have a rigorous due process for everything and anything you do in government. And we've learned this with many processes in government, that when they get dragged to court, if you have not followed due process, if you have not followed processes that create a good enough paper trail that demonstrates that you have applied your mind, then courts find against us.